allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute. Now, I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
We've been practicing. I don't remember the words unless we go right into it. I sit here. Don't make me think about it.
Thank you so much. Okay, so welcome to the Democratic Party of Sandoval County second Saturday event. My name is Alexandria Highland, Alex to all of you. And I am the chair of the Sandoval County Democratic Party. Isaac Chavez is here. He's the vice chair of the Sandoval County Democratic Party. Wonderful. I don't know where we would be without him. We are meeting in person at Matucci's Moderno Italian Restaurant at 1908 Wellspring Avenue, Rio Rancho, right across from Rusk Hospital. So thank you everyone for attending, and thank you to everyone who is watching us on Facebook Live. We hope the sound is better this time than last time. But we're working things out, so we appreciate your patience. Matucci's has graciously created a special menu just for us, and it is sitting in front of you at your table, so go ahead and circle what it is you want to eat, and the wait staff will take care of you, the experts will take care of you. Please remember that they had to struggle this past year, and you can be generous, a little extra generous with a tip, that would be greatly appreciated. So acknowledgements of elected officials, executive committee members, precinct chairs, and candidates will happen after our keynote speaker. And I'm so excited. You guys, we are in for a huge treat. We have an excellent speaker today, and she has so many accomplishments. Usually I can just tell you, this person does this person does that, but I'm going to have to read this because she is so accomplished. Dr. Culbreath is a passionate leader with a focus on serving others to achieve the goal of healthy individuals, healthy families, and healthy communities. She's a medical director of infectious disease at Tricor Labs and has worked there since 2010, where she oversees the largest infectious disease diagnostics laboratory in the entire state of New Mexico. Wow. Yeah, it's impressive. She's been a leader in the pandemic response, so thank you, Dr. Culbreath. Yes. She has been featured by local media, The Today Show, CNN, The New York Times, Roland Martin Unfiltered, and numerous other national media outlets. As a fierce advocate, I think my sound is going. As a fierce advocate of science education for students, Karissa is a member of the board of directors at Explorer. We all know Explorer, right? Yes. And an innovative STEM experiential learning center in Albuquerque. She's been a featured speaker there at Explorer, the New Mexico Out of School Time Network, and others, discussing how STEM education advances opportunities for individuals and communities. In 2020, she was appointed to the City Council for Rio Rancho District 5. There's more. Member of several community organizations, and is an associate pastor for ministries and community engagement at New Covenant Worship Center. But her most and greatest achievement is in her personal life, where she is blessed to share her life with her husband, daughter, and son. Isn't that lovely? So please join me in giving Dr. Karissa Culbreath, Councilor Culbreath, Pastor Culbreath, Mom Culbreath, a warm welcome. This should be live. Okay. I should have given it to you in advance. I'm so sorry.
No, but we can hear you without it.
I'm pretty loud. I'll put on my mom voice. So I live in Cabazon, right across the street from the main Cabazon Park. And so we end up getting a lot of children that just randomly join the playtime. And so I have that kind of voice when I'm like, okay, children. And I get all like attention from all of the kids in the park. And I'm like, okay, now let's pass out some water and get everybody some sunscreen and some popsicles real quick, right? So thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you so much, Alex, for the invitation. I'm really, really glad to be here and to be able to share space with you all. So I just wanted to share a little bit about myself and then share a little bit about, I think, the wonderful things that are happening right now in Rio Rancho. So I am from Albuquerque originally, and my goal in life was to be a part of the brain drain. My plan was that I was going to leave New Mexico, and I wasn't planning on coming back. So I went to Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee, a historically black university, where my life literally changed when I went to Fisk, and some of my most amazing time was spent there at Fisk University. I went on to Vanderbilt, where I got my PhD in microbiology and immunology. Then I went to North Carolina, so I just stayed on I-40. And spent 2 years at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. I actually spent a few months, some time in Malawi, where I did some laboratory development and resource development in Lilongwe, and in that district in Malawi. I ran out of road, so I turned around and I came back. I was recruited to Tricor in 2010, and I worked at Tricor and University of New Mexico, kind of back and forth between the two, since I've been back here in New Mexico in 2010. When my husband and I moved back here, we knew that we wanted to be in the Rio Rancho area, and it really has been an amazing decision for us. I'm so glad to be here. And so I've spent really the majority of my time here in New Mexico since I've been back, really engaged in health equity, health access, even working in a laboratory. One of the reasons why coming to Tricor, it made a lot of sense for me, was because we had the opportunity to do so much outreach into many of the rural parts of the state. I thought my career was going to be spent working in Africa and building laboratory capacity and health access in Africa. And then when I came back to New Mexico, I realized there was still a lot of work to be done right here in our communities. And so I was so grateful to come back and to have the experiences that I could bring back here. So I worked in that area during my time at the university. I did a lot of work in STEM education, particularly for students of color, K through 12 students. We set up summer programs, spring break programs, lots of activities for students. And so there's this kind of theme over my career of both being, a scientist, an academic, but really engaging with the community and trying to be a community advocate in the ways that I can. So during the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, that became the time my whole world turned upside down. And so we worked very, very hard. But what I realized during that time is that, and I think we all did, right? Any awareness to what was happening around the community let us know that all of the things that we've talked about around social determinants of health, they all showed up and reared their ugly heads during the pandemic. And so what are the social determinants of health? Social determinants of health, it says that where we live, where we work, where we play, and where we learn has a bigger impact on our health than many other things. The simple way that we say it is that your zip code can tell me a lot more about your health than your genetic code. Wow. Right? And so we saw that happen, and we saw that front and center during the pandemic, that there were communities that were more negatively impacted by the pandemic across the country, not because they have any different DNA or they're just fundamentally different. It's that the communities where they live and the things around them of where they live, where they work, where they play, and where they learn have over time compounded and negatively impacted them to the case that when the pandemic came in, now the community had a greater need. And so we saw some places like New Mexico who did very well, in my personal opinion. I might be biased, but I know they did very well. In actively responding to the communities where we have those great needs. There's other states and other communities that didn't do so well, but I think New Mexico did a really, really good job. But what this then, it made me really think about, well, these social determinants of health, they show up every day. It's not just during a pandemic. The pandemic brought them to light, and it was the response was the results of that. But what happens every day between now and, unfortunately, I hate to say, the next pandemic? Right? So what do we do in the time that we have between now and the next pandemic to try to right these wrongs and readjust these scales of justice and balance and make sure that all communities have what they need? And so that's where my mind was, and where I was thinking about what does the post-pandemic future look like. I was really thinking about how do I respond, what is my new role in this space? I feel like I've done a good job in setting up TriCore to be able to respond, but as we think about the next future, what would be my role? What's my job? And so I was thinking about these things, and then the opportunity came up in November of 2020. 2020, that's where we are. 2020 and then 2021, where there was an open seat in the District 5 where I live. And I applied for the position, and I was grateful to be able to be appointed by Mayor Hull and then confirmed by the entire council. And so that opportunity began to say, all right, what does city government do? City government does where we live, where we work, where we play, and where we learn. That's what city government is. Social determinants of health. I want to work on policies around where we live, where we work, where we play, where we learn. Wait a minute. So that's how a scientist ends up in city government. All right? Because that's everybody's first question is how in the world does a scientist end up in city government? But now does it kind of make sense? Yeah. Okay. All right. I hope I helped it to make sense just a little bit. So I want to share with you briefly this morning some of what I think are the really exciting things that are happening in the Rio Rancho community. And I'm going to focus on those things, where we live, where we work, where we play, and where we learn. So thinking about where we live, right, we want Rio Rancho to be a safe and an affordable place to live. We want it to be a city where we're partnering with our public safety and having really good community engagement. The city has made significant investments in public safety. We now have a public safety bond cycle. There's also the Citizens Police Academy that I would encourage all of you to consider participating in. You work and do some activities with the police department. There's also a mystery night with the Rio Rancho Police that's coming up. That seems like that would be kind of fun, and we can do like kind of crime scene investigation with the police department. So I think really engaging with our public safety is great. And of course, we know Rio Rancho has been a safe place, and we want it to stay like that for every single person who lives in Rio Rancho. We want everybody to feel safe in the community. Of course, one of the biggest challenges, I think my number one phone call, email, text message is, can you guys guess what my number one issue that people call me about? Roads. 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 Water. Roads. Resident roads. It's the roads. So we do have, since 2016, we have a bond cycle for our infrastructure. And we know we could talk about the history of Rio Rancho all day. It's a fascinating case study in city planning. But really, this investment in public infrastructure is definitely a priority for the city. We get some list of some streets within each district. There's a certain amount of mileage that's allocated to each district to be able to get repaired for the residential roads. So unfortunately, we have more residential roads that need repair than we have money to repair them. All that section by section. One of the things that we find often, though, with our residential roads is that it's not just the road that's the issue. Sometimes it's that underlying infrastructure within that road. And so just it's a stopgap. And so the need is that we really need to go in deeper and repair the infrastructure underneath, and that costs more money. So we have to really look road by road, and we get a listing of roads within our district to be able to determine, okay, what can we do with the money that's allocated? There's certainly a lot of hope, I think, on the horizon that as we have increased investment from the federal government into the infrastructure, that we might be able to increase some of these improvements that are very necessary within the city. We know, of course, Rio Rancho is growing. We'll be getting the results from the census coming up soon. I'm thinking maybe Rio Rancho could hit the number 2 slot. We'll see. We're the 3rd largest city behind Las Cruces. Let's see if we're over 100,000. But I have a good feeling that we will. That means, though, there's a lot more people, and we have to think about now how are we allocating the resources around the city. I'm really excited about economic development. My very first vote in Rio Rancho was the vote to be able to approve the LIDA funding for Nature's Toolbox. And that's a biotech company that's out in the Enchanted Hills area that moved from Santa Fe. We were able to help to keep them here in New Mexico because if they didn't find a place, they were going to leave the state. And so we were able to approve, that was my very first election, my very first vote. And that was really amazing to go from, I've been doing like this K through 12 STEM education, cradle to career, and then all of a sudden my first thing that I voted on was some STEM jobs in the city. That looks like, as they continue to grow, I saw their facility a couple weeks ago at their ribbon cutting. It's a beautiful facility. There's going to be amazing STEM jobs, and they're looking at over the next 5 to 10 years bringing in over 100 strong STEM jobs. Those are high-paying jobs for our students. So parents and grandparents, hopefully your kids can stay here or they can come back just like I did, right? And then, of course, right, what's the other big economic development boom that we just heard about a few weeks ago, a month or so ago? Intel. All right, that's the other thing, Intel. So we're excited to be able to see Intel's growth that's coming back. We're excited to see what they're going to do, right? So we talked about where we live, where we work, now where we play and where we learn, right? Where we play is important, right? Play is important. So we have our Parks and Recs department. We are so grateful that they worked hard. I am grateful that they worked hard to reopen for summer camps because my children are enjoying the summer camp and I'm enjoying them being out of my house. Right? So we are grateful for our Parks and Rec. They reopened the summer camps. They're working to make sure they have the lifeguards to keep our pools open. But really, we have to have more of these quality of life initiatives. There's a lot of work that we're doing in the Enchanted Hills area. We are working on investing in there. We have this opportunity to purchase a space in the Enchanted Hills area that will be a community center and a library over there. There's also the container building area that I think is going to be an amazing, fun, quality of life area. And then, of course, we have the new campus park. Was anybody able to go out for 4th of July? Yeah, we hung out a little bit there. It was a beautiful time. The campus park is amazing. I encourage you all to just get out there, see the beautiful sky room. We had the New Mexico Philharmonic did their first performance post-COVID as part of the 4th of July celebration. A really beautiful facility. I think it might rival in architectural beauty anything that I've seen in New Mexico for an outdoor space. Maybe the Santa Fe Opera, I'll give them that. They can have the opera. But after that sky room is really amazing. So I really encourage you all to participate with the activities. There'll be additional music in the park and movies in the park this summer. And then, of course, we have all of our ongoing work, the work that's happened in our libraries. All of these things that are happening is making Rio Rancho, I think, an amazing and a vibrant place to be. And I'm so excited to be able to serve the city, to serve you all, whether you live in my district or not. I believe my job is to serve you, and so I'm thankful that I have that opportunity during this time. And I'm happy to take any questions that you may have about the city. Thank you so much.
I have a question about you.
Sure.
You have to run next March.
Yes.
Okay. I am the state party.
Okay.
We will be interested in helping. Well, I'll take a look at it. But you intend to try for public financing.
So, I mean, first I will say, for me, this is not a campaign event. So I would definitely be happy to talk with you after that. I have not investigated any of those things, but I would be very happy to talk with you after. But I don't want this to have a campaigning event. It's not my goal for today.
And that is a contested seat, so it will be a contested seat, so we can.
Another Democrat?
Yes.
Well then, take that back.
Not yet. Not my goal for today. Happy to answer any questions about Rio Rancho. I think I saw your hand up.
I've been a Rio Rancho resident for over 30 years, and have lots of questions. But what are you guys going to do about all of the fireworks? I mean, it was right on the other side of the shutter, and it was like a war zone. But it was like that for 2 weeks before.
And it's still like that now.
And, you know, what do they do? I mean, like up there, whatever, you know, the fines or whatever, and now the city's actually follow through, but it was, so 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, no, it really has been awful. I think one of the challenges, there's kind of two things that come into play, right? One is we do need to do some work around our noise ordinances. We don't really have very firm policies around our noise ordinances. That's something that we might be able to try to get to later on this year. But then it becomes a patrolling issue and kind of getting people out to be able to see what's happening. I think it's something we have to work on. Maybe we can try to get something in place before next 4th of July. But I'm with you. I've been hearing these fireworks just like you. It feels like a month of celebrations. Yes. Yes.
I wanted to mention that we have 6 council seats, correct? 6 or 5? Yes, 6, okay. For each of those council seats, we have areas that are parks and recs, the art commission, planning and zoning, and what's the other ones? Keep rental vehicle. All of those have openings for commissioner seats. And I'm an art commissioner for District 4, for that council seat. So we need more people on those, in those committees, and we need Democrats. So.
Yeah, there's openings on all of the commissions. If you go to the Rio Rancho, thank you so much for bringing that up. If you go to the Rio Rancho website and look under boards and commissions, you'll be able to see a listing of all the commissions, and then be able to see the seats within your districts where you live, where there are openings on those.
I have 2 issues. One, Define Fitness was going to do a big deal in the southeast. I don't know where that stands. Don't know if you can tell us on that. But then water. Where do we stand on getting our water system updated and maybe going to be cheaper water soon?
That's also my concern. My water bill this month was $160, and it's not for you, Dr. Culbreath. I just want you to go tell the mayor, because I really wanted to go to the city hall and ask the mayor, why is my water bill more expensive than my gas and electricity? $160 every month in a row. So where are we getting to? And then the other thing is, why is it that they are building houses everywhere and there is not a director of planning? It's not for you, as I said. Why? Who is doing all the planning? Who is doing the projection of the water usage? We know the situation in New Mexico. One day we shall open those taps and sand will be coming out from the pipes. And and what are we going to do? Look at Rio Grande. Every day I drive over that place, my temper goes like, we are going to run out of water soon. And I see water bill is going up, they are building houses, there's no director of planning. So those are some of the issues that not only here is also in Albuquerque. I'm a city employee in Albuquerque. I didn't.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I think these are all important issues. So the Define Fitness, they're definitely working on their opening over there off of 528 near the old Kmart building.
Yeah,
That one
it
there.
looks deader than a doornail, so I knew they were going to,
Yeah.
and that got canceled or.
Yeah, so they did
delayed.
some pause due to COVID because then they weren't going to be able to be in there. So they are definitely planning on opening up that area. And we just at one of our last meeting, we talked about some of the potential usage in the space that's right next to that.
Correct.
So I think that whole area is definitely going to be revitalized. Water is a New Mexico issue for sure. One of our challenges around city planning, right, it goes back to the whole planning around Rio Rancho, is that with our antiquated platting system, cities should be growing concentrically. So we should start with, a city center, and then the city grows around it so that every water pipe is connected to the next one. One of the challenges with Rio Rancho is just how it was founded and developed. I wasn't even alive for that. But that Rio Rancho has these antiquated platting structures, and you just get housing districts that pop up over here and a house over there, and maybe there's not a road that's connecting them. So that makes the water usage very difficult. We continue to work to renegotiate our water rights and discuss our access to water rights, but definitely something that we can continue to keep in mind. But planning around Rio Rancho and the Rio Rancho growth is an absolute challenge. That a lot of it is challenged by our antiquated platting system. It's a difficult thing to overcome, but we continue to try to work to have some developmental nodes in the city. So right now, City Center has some developmental nodes. We have the Unser Gateway, and they continue to work to try to develop this area as another development node so that although we don't have it natively in the city, we can try to encourage that type of planned building in the city by focusing on a couple development areas, but absolutely great points and big challenges for the city. Can I go here and then I will come to you? Yes.
On water, I just want to say we need a huge public education campaign. There is a fixed amount of water. We all want businesses, we all want jobs. Every time there is one additional person come to this state, that is that much less water available for everybody else. And the reality is that most people won't conserve water or anything else unless prices go up. It's a New Mexico problem that we cannot fix because there's a limited amount of rainfall. There are old agreements that Arizona gets part of our water, Texas gets part of our water, and they're not giving it back. And when we get less honey melt out of it, or less snow and less melt out of the Rocky Mountains, we've got less water coming down that river. So we either start to conserve or leave because there's not going to be more water.
Absolutely. There's a really great book called Raining in the Rio Grande that talks about the challenges of water in this entire region, and absolutely, it's definitely a New Mexico problem. Yes, sir.
Folks moved from California a couple years ago, I moved 4 years ago. We've been surprised at how bad the recycling system is in the city.
Right.
It only takes the ones that have a 1 in it, and it doesn't take bottles. And I don't know if you watched the John Oliver thing about how much they don't take, but I'm just wondering, what are the constraints and what are the solutions that you see to try to at least improve our recycling capabilities at the beginning of every month of West County?
Yeah, absolutely. So waste management is contracted out, so our trash and recycling, we contract out to waste management, so the city doesn't own it, just because that would be a huge cost and burden on the city. So we've handed over that responsibility to waste management, though we try to work collaboratively with them to attempt to address some of these issues. Definitely know that the change in the pickup for the recycling has been a challenge. Waste management is trying to look at some additional solutions to improving their waste management. But because those would be added costs, we have to look at balancing the additional cost of the waste management system to then and the city continues to work with our city staff, is really trying to work on getting some good contracts with waste management to address those.
Let me ask this question. Has anyone done an analysis to see that if we pay $55 every other month, how much that would be in taxes that are actually paid to waste management, and whether it might be cheaper for the city to republicize, if you will, instead of privatize, the type of programs that they do, waste and waste management? Have they ever done that analysis? Because I wonder if my folks are paying and everybody's paying waste management, right? How much we really pay in taxes? And I don't know if you know about this, being a scientist, that almost for the last 25 years, study after study after study shows that this privatization idea just makes people rich at the top. And that you are actually much better off having city and governmental services to provide the important things that everybody needs. So I was just wondering, has anybody ever looked at that? Because if the constraint is waste management just going to charge us more, then we're not getting it.
They raised our bill 20%.
Yeah.
Just like that, without even advising us, or putting it to a vote.
And cut our services.
And cut our services.
That's why I'm asking if there's been any kind of analysis to see whether it'd be better. I realize you're up with a bunch of fascists. I recognize that. No, well, they are fascists.
So I definitely think along the waste management line, I think there's a lot of work. There's a lot of improvement that we can make within the waste management system. Because it is privatized, then it becomes a contract negotiation and the balance of how do we best manage that contract. And until that changes, we're going to be within the structure and the system of working with waste management to try to make things however best we can. What I will continue to advocate for is making sure that our costs are not prohibitive for us recycling, because recycling is absolutely necessary. For all of the things and all of the reasons why we know well, we need to be recycling. We need to be reducing our waste. We need to be reducing everything that we're putting into the landfills. And so we've got to really think about how can we do that within the current constraints while we continue to look for opportunities to make changes in the future. But I think that's a really great point that I can investigate. I haven't asked if they've done that.
That's what I figure most people don't think about it. I'm just saying, if you add up what everybody's paying, how much are they earning from waste? How much is waste management earning from citizens of Rio Rancho? And then ask, well, if we did it ourselves, how much would it cost and what would we get?
Right.
So that's what I think.
We have time for one more question.
Whose one is for? Sir, I think you have your hand.
Yeah, in Albuquerque, they have an IDO, an Integrated Development Ordinance. As the city council of Rio Rancho looked into, basically, it's not perfect, you know. I mean, it's not my backyard, some people are, you know, but it is something, it's a framework that at least can be used for better planning.
So I'm not familiar with the integrated development ordinance. I can look into it. As you know, our city manager, Matt Geisel, comes from the development services area and the economic development office. It's something he's probably very familiar with, and we can check in. I'd be happy to ask him about that.
Call Mayor Keller's office.
Sure.
I'd be more than happy to explain it to you.
All the information is on the website.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I feel
Thank you so much. My contact information is on the Rio Rancho website. Please feel free to reach out. I know I didn't get to all the questions. Please email me. Please give me a call. I'll be happy to reach out to you.
Okay, just for, I don't know, I'm just gonna talk too.
So, we have a really, really full agenda. So, thank you again, I'm sorry, Dr. Culbreath. Next on our agenda, I want to acknowledge the executive committee members and precinct chairs who are here. So, if you are an executive committee member or precinct chair, please stand up. Board chairs, please stand up. Come on, Chris. We have Isaac, It's over there. Ward A Chair Chris Dahl, Ward D Chair, E Chair, Ward E Chair Ed Lovato, Ed Scared, and let's see, who else am I missing? Is that everybody?
That's everybody that's board chair, yeah.
I get so wrapped up. Okay, yeah, Deb is president of the Women's Federation. If you have not looked into Sandoval County Federation of Democratic Women, please do so. And Joel is our data chair. Yay, Joel. Okay. Next, I would like to introduce our elected officials and give them the opportunity to speak. Our first would be Commissioner Kathy Brooke from District 1. Kathy?
I really wasn't expecting to do that today, but I couldn't pass up an opportunity. So thank you, Councilwoman. We're so glad that you're here in Rio Rancho, and I joined her at Nature's Toolbox ribbon cutting this week, and I just am so excited for them to be in Rio Rancho and in my district, and that is the kind of development we want and need. We do not need another big box store, and we really need to start thinking about some of the things that you all have brought to our attention today around economic development and what it should look like. You know, we want to maintain the beautiful place that we call our home, and part of that is protecting our public lands and making sure that we do have the water, land, and cultural protections that we so need. So, not to ramble on, but please come and talk to me about your concerns for what happens in Rio Rancho. I know there is some development going on that is not what we all dream of. So we need to be more active and attend those public hearings that are coming up about some of these things and make sure our voices are heard. Because when we move forward with some of this development, it is not gonna make it a better place for any of us. Anyway, thank you so much for being here today, and I look forward to talking with all of you. Thanks.
Is up for re-election, is coming here. And so if you can, you don't have to live in her district to volunteer for her, but you donate. That's all good.
Right.
Next up is our wonderful county clerk, Ann Brady Romero. She's going to speak for a minute or two to tell us what's going on in the clerk's office.
It's been a long time since I've seen you, and it's wonderful to see all these beautiful faces. A lot of things happening in the clerk's office, a lot of learning that's taking place. I did not know a lot about Bureau of Elections. My predecessor did not let me learn. And of course, you cannot teach what you don't know. That aside, we have several positions open in the clerk's office. We have a Bureau of Elections manager. That salary starts at between $75,000 and $105,000. I need a qualified person to apply for that. So far, we haven't gotten very many applications. I also have a records and filing manager position open in the clerk's site on the records side. We've done a lot of good things for the county so far in the 6 months that we've been there. We have installed cameras out in the warehouse, something that was by law should have been there. That is something that we installed, and ADA compliance. We're going through every site to make sure that we are ADA compliant and that nobody is disenfranchised from voting. Thank you. We're very busy, and thank you for everything.
Thank you. Excellent. Next is Barbara Romo. If you just stand up, she's our district attorney. Hi, Barbara. For looking out for all of us in Sandoval County. Next up is Pete Sullivan. Pete, you got 2 minutes.
Your friendly, not so friendly
party sergeant at arms who you don't see if he's not reaching into your pocket. Okay, what I want you guys to do, property of Democratic Party of Sandoval County, 4x8 signs. Okay, you put up one south of Southern Boulevard on Unser, one south of Southern Boulevard on Golf Course. Okay, I don't know about Corrales Boulevard. That may be off limits. What is definitely off limits is Pat Darko. And I am told near Pat Darko by Rio Rancho City ordinance, Southern Boulevard is off limits for that sort of thing. But see, near where Damon Eli lives, if there's some place you could put one on Corrales Boulevard. And maybe if you could swing one Camino del Pueblo near enough to 550. Anything with a New Mexico numeral for a highway is off limits. Pat Darko and 550. But, so, each Sunday morning or Saturday morning, these things get stale. So you whitewash it again, and then you get a different candidate each week in the 60 days for Sandoval Democratic Party. Candidate makes his or her stencil, and then you alternate so they don't get stale. Each week the drivers are looking at a new Sandoval Democratic Party candidate. Let's say this costs you, with the number that you can get up, $200 to $400.
Thank you, Pete. Discussion to have with the executive committee. Speaking of, a few of us are going to be going out to Cuba this afternoon. We're going to have an event out there August 21st. It will be posted on our website. I cannot encourage you enough to visit our website, sandovaldemocrats.org, and our events calendar to see what's going on. The drive out there is lovely. I put maps on most of the tables, and there are also some things to do. The drive itself is amazing. It's stunning. Those of you who've been out there, you know what I'm talking about. And there's a few really good restaurants out there, so please consider going out to Cuba or joining us today, this evening. This is how smart our neighbors are, okay? Their fireworks, their city fireworks, not the individual ones we were complaining about earlier. They have them the Saturday after the 4th of July. And they get to pay half price for the fireworks, and they have a display to rival any other fireworks display in New Mexico. And people just go out to Cuba and pull over and picnic and tailgate and have a great time. So consider checking it out, and while you're out there spending a little bit of money. I have two people who want to talk to you about some events. One of them is the art fundraiser. Linda has graciously brought some art to show us. Please, I will tell you, we had scheduled it for August 1st, but the response from the artists has been so big. Linda has received so many donations that we're going to have to push it to October.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, and the art, as you can tell, is absolutely amazing. So, hey, art parade, don't, yeah, there you go. Art parade.
Welcome for the camera.
I just want to say I have recruited 11 Democratic artists who have generously donated. Now, some of these paintings will be, half of it proceeds go to the artist, half will go to the party of what county they're from. So in this case, this one here goes to Bernalillo County. Of course, the ones I brought, sorry. But we do have about half and half. So The Democrats in Sandoval County will get a lot. In fact, I've got posters, signed posters. I didn't even know they were signed. There's probably over $1,000 worth of $1,500 that's going to go to Sandoval County if they're all sold. So, and they're at a good price. Now these are a little bit more expensive, but these are, some of these people are nationally known artists. So you'll have a good piece of work that you'll want to keep for a long time.
And
It's an investment.
Right, and
Yeah.
like Linda said, prices begin, it's very affordable.
Yeah,
25.
10, 20, 25, 50, 175, 600. You know.
So there's something to fit in everyone's budget.
Yeah, exactly.
It really is.
Exactly.
Some of the pieces are framed and matted, and some of them, there were some gorgeous, that had not been framed or matted or touched, but there was this one particular pen and ink.
Oh, just
Ink
Yeah.
and watercolor. It's
Yeah.
stunning. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Trust us.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
the gentleman travels the world and he does architectural paintings, so.
Thank you so much, Linda. Next will be Sherry Hardage, who's going to talk to us about the Chaco Canyon Trip fundraiser for Friends of Coronado de Jimenez Historic Sites. Thank you.
My name is Sherry Harding. I'm the president of the Friends of Coronado and Amos Historic Sites. So we have been in business for about 20 years now, and we have over 300 members. We're the largest historic site friends group in the state, and we're mostly Democrats. We're also mostly retired. So as a fundraiser, I have had a project that I've wanted to do for a long time that will encourage high school students to come out to the site and learn about being archaeologists. Because so many people just have no idea what being an archaeologist is. I wanted to be an archaeologist once, and I went out on a dig, and it was 105 degrees in Lubbock, Texas, and they had us work from 8 in the morning till 5 at night, and I said, to hell with this. I am done. So I became more of an engineer, but it doesn't matter. It was a lot of fun, and I really love all the archaeological stuff. The Friends gives money for educational things, for scholarships. We support all kinds of archaeological digs. We have community digs where if you're a member, you can sign up and you can go to Amos and work on an actual dig and help them and dig out stuff that teach you what they want you to know. And it's just fun. We have a huge group of people that look at pottery shards and they categorize them, and I think we had something like 50,000 pottery shards that from the 1930s forward from this Coahuila Pueblo that is at the Coronado site. Amos also had a bunch of them. So we had a group for much of before COVID, went through all of that and categorized it, put it into the museum in New Mexico. So all of that has been done. It's really great work, a lot of really great stuff. So the project that I want to do to introduce high school kids, I want to raise money to do that. And we have scheduled a 3-day, it's actually over a 4-day period, but a 3-day trip to Chaco Canyon. Now, everybody that loves Chaco Canyon, you know you can't get there, see everything, and come home in one day. Not possible. So this way, if you want to go to Chaco Canyon, you can go for really as long as you want. You know, we're going to have we have an archaeologist, Rich Friedman, who built 3-dimensional models on computers, and you can fly around them in the computer of every single site at Chaco Canyon. It was a 10-year project. And we have a fellow who worked for the BLM for years. He's very familiar with all the BLM situations around Chaco. He said, you have this enormous set of resources and you have this beautiful archaeological site plunked right down in the middle. So of course it's going to be affected by the gas and oil drilling that's going on in the area. So he's going to talk about that. So we have a lineup. We have a professional photographer, We have a retired astronomer who's going to talk about the sky at night, but also how the people portrayed their interpretation of the sky in the petroglyphs and the things that they've left behind. So it's going to be a fabulous trip. It's $325 per person, and it is a camping trip. We have the large camping area, and we have an iron chef, a cast iron chef. He's not cast iron, he cooks in cast iron. Anyway, his food is great, and he said, I hope everybody says that was the best trip on the earth and the food was fantastic. So he's going to be really good. So it's going to be a great trip, and it is September 14th through 17th. We'll come in on a Tuesday, spend some of the afternoon, and then we'll leave on Friday afternoon. So we'll have several days with all kinds of activities. It's kind of like summer camp. You'll sign up for archery, except you'll be going on a certain trip instead. Yeah. So anyway, if you are at all interested in going on the travel trip, there's a whole invitation underneath this, but I'm just collecting signatures. I'm collecting names and address, email addresses, and your phone number. And if you're interested, I'll call you and we can talk about the logistics of it. We're going to try to do low impact. We're going to have very little trash and things like that. So there's a lot more complex stuff for you. And if you want to become a member, this is only open to members. So anybody that wants to join this trip has to be a member. So take one of the brochures. It's about what we do and all of that. And I'll just pass this around and collect it at the end.
Thank you, Sherry. Show of hands of those of you who are members of the Women's Federation. Right? Remember, it's not just for women. Okay. So those of you who are members of the Women's Federation have already seen our next speaker, right? Right? At our Zoom meeting, what was that, 2 weeks ago?
Something like that, yeah. Was it 1 week ago?
Well, it was a while ago.
Yeah. You slept since then.
So this next speaker, June 12th, 2 weeks. So Barbara Jordan was our speaker, and she's going to tell you a little bit about what she's working on and what her favorite projects are. So thank you, Barbara.
Thank you for letting me speak at, last minute. I appreciate it. So I started a nonprofit called Precinct Mexico, People Requiring Equality Within Systemic Systems to represent the systems within the systems that we have here. It was birthed out of a need after my son experienced a racist incident at the high school that he attends here in Rio Rancho. So I have a website. It's called www.pressmexico.com. And I'm just calling on everyone in this room to join me in my fight for true equality. We do have some issues here. We have houseless members. They're part of our community as well. So I make sure I go out and put toiletries out and so that our houseless members can pick those up, whatever. So I do feel strongly in the sense of community here in Rio Rancho, and I feel that even though I learned that the city of Vision was not meant for the city of Vision, it was for mountains or something like that. But we have a unique opportunity to actually change that and actually be the city of Vision, to where our police officers are actually servicing our community, and that stigma is gone with our children. And so my projects right now is, the big one is the New Mexico Black Education Act. I just want to plant that seed with you guys so we can make sure here so that all children feel included. Yes. That Black children, our BIPOC community, that they feel included here and they feel like they have a safe place to learn in their academic environment. Yes. Also, we want to look at police brutality. I have not seen that problem here with Rio Rancho Police Department, but our Rio Rancho Police Department has an opportunity to set the example not only for the city of Rio Rancho, but for the state of New Mexico and the United States. So my bottom line is so that we get comfortable with what America truly is. And America is me. I'm part of America. I'm part of Rio Rancho. I'm part of New Mexico. I'm a retired Air Force veteran, sir. Thank you for your service. I did 20 years in the Air Force. I served in Afghanistan, Kuwait, and other places abroad as well. So just please join me in our fight, and it's what we do every day that makes a difference. Every day. If you see something, say something. Make sure that our BIPOC community feels comfortable and safe in our community. Let's show them how it's done.
Yes.
It starts with us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Safe, welcome, and included.
Yes.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
So we've already started talking to a few people
Yes.
about Black Education Act.
Yes, we have.
Oh, yes. Well, oh, yes, let's go.
Okay. I was being talked about 2 minutes. Okay, so we have already started talking about the public education department. I'm in talks with the members who are heading the act so we can see how it's implemented within our schools. I have emailed the Rio Rancho Public School District, and I unfortunately received a lackluster response about how they intend to implement that. But please keep that on your radar, and I will be pinging everyone so that we can join the fight to make sure that our kids feel safe.
Yes.
Our kids feel included.
I have to mention, this is the president of the Rio Rancho Public Schools.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yes, I will. Yes, please.
So,
Thank
and
you.
also, the 2 authors of the Black Education Act are friends of our group, Senator Harold Pope and Representative Cheryl Williams State.
Yes.
Next person to speak, I met him at a rally in Albuquerque, probably doesn't even remember, probably 2 or 3 years ago. And I remember walking away and thinking, wow.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yes, yeah. So I want to introduce you a candidate for state auditor, Zach Quintero.
Hello, Democrats. Are we fired up?
Yeah.
Are we ready to go?
Yeah.
That's President Obama who pushed that forward first from North and South Carolina. And, you know, we keep that mantra going because you know as well as I do, Sandoval knows how to organize, feel inclusive, and get results.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? So are we fired up?
Yeah.
Are we ready to go?
Yeah.
Are we fired up? All right, good. My name is Zachary Quintero. I am running to serve as your next state auditor. I'm running for a core of reasons, but the main 3 that I decided to run was to look at how our financial structures further systems of equality and inclusivity, but also looking out for our most vulnerable populations. I've served as your state ombudsman through the last year and a half of the pandemic going forward, making sure I investigate issues of abuse, neglect, fraud, and financial exploitation for our ADA community and our seniors.
Yes.
Making sure we have their back, because people who do not have a voice or a seat at the table are going to continually be the first ones hurt by the system. So that's a little bit about the professional statewide experience. If you don't know already, my mom's a public school teacher, my dad's a plumber, so I know how to listen well and I know how to deal with crap. And if you know anything about school teachers, really, you know this. We know how to organize, we know how to fight, we know what's at stake, not just in the classroom, but for our communities. And that was built within my soul and forged by fire by my mom, my grandma, and my dad. Going to job sites with my dad since I was 7 at 4 a.m. You know, I learned the value and dignity of not just hard work, but also what it means to know and have confidence of where your next paycheck's going to come from. And you know, our public benefit system needs to be protected. Our seniors need to be protected. Our communities and our schools need to make sure that they have dedicated funding that are actually going to the classroom, our teachers, and our after-school programs. And that's why I'm running. I'm running to make sure that we build in an equity index fund statewide to be able to look at whether or not we're furthering, you know, issues of discrimination, hate, and inequality and environmental harm, or if we're actually getting the ROI that we claim we're trying to push for. You know, are we actually lowering the gender wage gap? Are we diminishing the fraud and abuse that might happen in redirecting funds to different projects? Are we actually fighting the climate change issues of our day through public investment? So that's why I'm running. That's why I wanted to share a little bit about me. And I wanted to say thank you here to Sandoval Sandoval County Democrats, the New Mexico Federation of Democratic Women, and Senator McKenna. I know you've been a champion and fighter for this area, so thank you so much. Quick side note on this, we've hit a huge milestone today for our campaign, and we've now gone over 49 statewide endorsements, including Senator Harold Pope Jr., Representative David Eli, and most of my folks back home, my mom's endorsement is the most important to me. But people ask two questions when they see me run. They ask first, are you related to Richie Valens? Have you seen the And the second one they ask is, have you hit your head? You know, why are you running for office like this? I'm running because I've served on the local, county, and state level. We need passion, we need commitment, we need professionalism and energy in this office, and we need to build a statewide coalition. So bringing Las Cruces and southern New Mexico connected here with central New Mexico and northern New Mexico. Let's go win this. Let's win this fight. Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and I regret I missed our lead presentation, but I will catch up with her later. I'm really proud to be with you today, and isn't this great when we have leadership at the federal and state level, how we can be in person compared to some of our states in the union where they didn't vaccinate, and look what's happening. They're dealing with Delta, and so I really want to give a hand to our governor because she's staff. And you know what? Coming over here, I tell folks I'm always on the mode of campaign. I don't think we can ever relax. And I think two things that are really firing me up is the Supreme Court, voting rights, and abortion rights. And I was listening to a pundit day before I was coming back from an interim meeting in Farmington, and a woman that studies this quite closely, she says she really fears what's going to happen at the Supreme Court level when it comes to reproductive rights. She predicts, unfortunately, it's going to be harder for some of our fellow American women. So, as much as we can rejoice about the good things that are happening, let's always prepare ourselves for the local and the federal fights and how consequential it is who you vote to the White House. Yeah. Look what has happened. We have lifelong appointments to the Supreme Court. Their decisions are so consequential. Yeah. Yes. So, up and get ready to go, right? Right. All times. All right. Yes. Always
Let's see. What do I have next? I already told you. Okay, second Saturday will take place here in the Two Chiefs at 11 a.m. on August. August. I don't remember. 11? No. First. Second Saturday's not on the first. Must be the 8th.
Must be the 8th. I think it's the 8th.
Yeah. So 8th or 9th. Anyway. First Friday's on the 6th. So 14. Oh, good. I'll be here. We're planning an event in Cuba. I already mentioned August 21st from 11 to 1. And there will be a County Central Committee meeting tentatively scheduled for August 28th. How many County Central Committee members are there? Raise your hand. If you're on the CCC. Excellent. Okay. You will be getting information about the new rules. You'll be voting on rules. Remember, the Democratic Party is not a top-down organization. We, the Executive Committee of the Sandoval County Democratic Party, operates under the pleasure and the permission of the CCC. Don't forget that. So if you're not involved, please do so. Please get involved. Please visit our website's event section for more information regarding all events, sandovaldemocrats.org. Sign up for our newsletter on our website. This is our delightful.
It really is.
And finally, we're so happy and grateful for this meeting place and the staff that we have here. So let's show them that, and please show them your appreciation, and thank you for coming out today, and I hope you get to enjoy your lunches. Yes, Naomi, one more, I'm so sorry.
Well, September 19th, put it on your calendar from 3 to 5 at the Unitarian Church in Rio Rancho at Abrazo. We're going to have our next Sandoval County Federation of Democratic Women meeting. Speaker is not yet confirmed on what my intention is. It'll be tagging on to what we were talking about regarding water and conservation and the environment. I'd like to have a speaker who can address all of that. Best practices, going forward.
Great. So one question. Do you have to be a woman to be a member?
You do not.
Okay, you have to be a Democrat.
Yes.
Isaac.
Just really quick, I just want to let you all know that we'll be going back to the range August 6th. So first Friday is back on at the range. I hope to see you all there at 11:30 August 6th, okay?
All right.
Derek Lente will be speaking.
Derek Lente is going nuts big.
I could never make it to those.
Jay, shout out.
I just want to let you all know that there is something circulating. If you don't belong to the Sandoval County Federation of Democratic Women, thank you. There are some forms circulating, I think they're over that way. It's half price right now.
Yeah, so it's still half price.
Yeah, you just fill out a form and then give it to me.
I like what you say. Any other announcements? No?
We're done.
Oh, Alexis.
Would you like to start people go ahead and sign up for that Rio Rancho Police Academy? I understand that it starts in October. It's really enlightening and a little bit frightening. People that I love for our police officers to know that not everybody there wants to shoot out firecrackers.
And that's great, Alexis, and we can find that information from the Rio Rancho City website. Anything else? Thank you so much. We'll see you at First Friday.